Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Dog Keys BDDKS. This is a dispenser set of 16 keys, and this is what it looks like. So the fine people over at Dog Keys, also known as Framan, a manufacturer of high-end, highly technical key machines, and along with key blanks, has assembled basically a collection of 16 different dispenser keys. Some of these, I would say probably a third of these, I'm familiar with, in the sense of I actually stock these keys independently. But there has never been someone that has said, yep, here's every single dispenser key we can come up with. And some of them I've never seen, but almost all of them I've seen at one point, and I could make a really good educated guess as to what they're used for. And the point of that is, me not being a building engineer or a custodian or someone who's in charge of maintenance operations over a 100-year-old skyscraper, if I'm familiar with them, there must be a need for them, these individual keys in the marketplace. It's not unusual for a client to call and say, I've got this toilet tissue dispenser, I need a key for it. I have no idea what it is. I haven't bought any, I'm new on the job, and I just need help figuring it out. And the client will send a picture or send pictures of it, and even at that point, it's still sometimes difficult to identify it. So this set of 16 keys has come on these two large key rings, and rather than go through them on camera, well, this is a bob key, that I know. E114, that's certainly going to be for ASI, E114. These plastic units, they're going to be for plastic molded, injection molded types of dispensers, toilet tissue, paper towel dispensers, things of that nature. There's a Bradley key on here, which is here. This one, this Cat 74, is Bobrick and Gamco. That I know. This large flat steel key, this is going to be used possibly for a toilet tissue dispenser, is where you could very easily see this. This funny one here I've seen in the past, but I don't recall where it is. But the good news is we can switch to the screen view, and we can take a closer look at the manufacturer's supporting images, along with a description of each of these, and then we will take a look at the other supporting information. So let's do this right now. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. Here is what the two sets of key rings look like. Bobrick. The other Bobrick bob key is right here. E114, that's ASI. The Bradley is here. Other molded injection units, as I said. Let's take a look at the cut sheet that's included. Sorry. And this is going to allow us to take a look at all of the individual keys. 16 key dispenser assortment. Framan, who's known as Dog, who's also there's another company name that's involved as well. So Framan has introduced a 16 key assortment. Included in these key sets are Kimberly-Clark, Georgia Pacific, Fort Howard, SCA Torque, Bay West, Von Driel, Murphin. Those are manufacturers generally of paper goods, and they sell dispensers or give away dispensers to sell their paper goods. However, the Bobrick and the Bradley I'm familiar with, but there are others that are on here as well. Okay, so the cut sheet has all of the individual part numbers of these individual key blanks. That's what they are. So what we can do, however, is we can take a look at the manufacturer's website, where we can actually look at those individual part numbers. So what we'll do is, let's do this. We've got this set up in a split screen sort of fashion. So 1416 Eagle, let's see if Dog Keys has the 1416 listed. They do. There it is. What's really nice about that is they're going to give you dimensions of the unit. Next one would be the BD2. That's the Bobrick, what Bobrick calls their Bob key. BD2. There it is. Bobrick multi-tool. BD221, Kimberly-Clark. Okay. And rather than go through all 16 of these, you get the concept. By the time you're seeing this video, we'll have all of these extended images in the description of our item. And you'll be able to view all of those independently. Eagle Bobrick, Kimberly-Clark, paper towel. That's just ASI E114. Let's take a look. E114. Yeah, ASI. That is literally an ASI key. Yeah, E114. It's an ASI replacement key. Fort Howard, Georgia Pacific, Kimberly-Clark, Sand, Yamar, Georgia Pacific again, Torque, Bay West, Fort Howard, Von Driel, Murfin. I'm just not familiar with those, but again, the ones that you're really going to see in restaurants, ones that are primarily plastic in nature. If it's stainless steel in nature, it's likely going to be Bobrick. Very easily could be Bradley, and most certainly could be ASI as well. AJW is not here. That's one that I can think of. Nor is Palmer Fixture. Nor is Jackknob. They may have something as well. But nonetheless, this is a really comprehensive set of key blanks, or keys, operating keys, I should say, not key blanks. So let's take a look. One final thing here, the manufacturer's page that's here. You'll be able to get to their website, the Blue Dog Key website, and be able to view the balance of all of the information that they have here. Let's wrap up this video on camera. If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it. Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Blue Dog Keys BDDKS. This is a dispenser set of 16 keys, and this is what it looks like. So the fine people over at Blue Dog Keys, also known as Fromen, a manufacturer of high-end, highly technical key machines, and along with key blanks, has assembled basically a collection of 16 different dispenser keys. Some of these, I would say probably a third of these, I'm familiar with, in the sense of I actually stock these keys independently. But there has never been someone that has said, yep, here's every single dispenser key we can come up with. And some of them I've never seen, but almost all of them I've seen at one point, and I could make a really good educated guess as to what they're used for. And the point of that is, me not being a building engineer or a custodian or someone who's in charge of maintenance operations over a 100-year-old skyscraper, if I'm familiar with them, there must be a need for them, these individual keys in the marketplace. It's not unusual for a client to call and say, I've got this toilet tissue dispenser, I need a key for it. I have no idea what it is. I haven't bought any, I'm new on the job, and I just need help figuring it out. And the client will send a picture or send pictures of it, and even at that point, it's still sometimes difficult to identify it. So this set of 16 keys has come on these 2 large key rings, and rather than go through them on camera, well, this is a bob key, that I know. E114, that's certainly going to be for ASI, E114. These plastic units, they're going to be for plastic molded, injection molded types of dispensers, toilet tissue, paper towel dispensers, things of that nature. There's a Bradley key on here, which is here. This one, this Cat 74 is Bobrick and Gamco. That I know. This large flat steel key, this is going to be used possibly for a toilet tissue dispenser, is where you could very easily see this. This funny one here I've seen in the past, but I don't recall where it is. But the good news is we can switch to the screen view, and we can take a closer look at the manufacturer's supporting images, along with a description of each of these. and then we will take a look at the other supporting information. So let's do this right now. Okay, let's go over the first key in the set, the 1416, at least the first key in terms of the cut sheet. They have this as Kaba Ilko Eagle. This is what we would call a, I'd call it a bit key, is what I would call it. It's got a couple of bits here, so that what happens, actually, you'll see it in very low, the lowest quality of padlocks. When you insert the key and you turn it, what happens is the two bits, there'll be two parallel springs, and that when you insert the key and turn it, it forces the springs to belly open, where whatever is being captured inside of that parallel set of springs can then be removed. A hook, probably, is what it is. So this is just going to be a very brief, 60-second situation. Overall width of these two bits, 0.377, 0.377. From the shoulder stop down to the end of the key blank, I would estimate that to be about 0.316. From the shoulder stop down to the tip, 0.316. Thickness, 0.048. 0.048 thick. Okay, let's move on to the next key. Okay, this is the BD tool. This is what's just going to be called a bob key, is how I would know this. This is a Bobrick multi-tool, and it's used most absolutely, the way I know how this is used is to press in the side of the spindle to remove the spindle, which is anti-theft in its design, from the toilet tissue or toilet paper dispenser. When you have the spindle, the roll that's on there, you exhaust the roll, you pull the cardboard core off, then as you rotate, whether it be controlled or non-controlled delivery, doesn't really matter, you'll see an area where you'll be able to insert this onto the multi-tool into, or the bob key, where it pushes the pin and you can take the tool, you can take the spindle off. Let's take a look at if I have anything else on the bob key. Yeah, it's changed over time. I think it used to have a little bend to it here, completely flat, but this is used with not only the toilet tissue dispenser but also a soap dispenser. This is going to allow you to be able to open up the hinged small access door so that you can fill units with soap as well. It's likely also used to be able to rotate the conical threaded cone in a lavatory or a countertop mounted soap dispenser. It's probably used for that as well. But this is what the bob key looks like. You're absolutely going to run into this for sure. We stock this bob key only. Let's move on to the next key. Okay, the next key that we're looking at is the BD221. They have this listed as Kimberly-Clark. Just a plastic, basically just a plastic turn handle to be able to open up that unit. A couple of basic dimensional properties. Overall width of the bits, or the bit, 0.636, 0.636. The height of the bit, 0.198, 0.198. And then the thickness of the bit, 0.115, 0.115. Overall length, just for the sake of it, it's right about 1.98, so basically 2-inch. Just a injection molded key for Kimberly-Clark units. As far as I know, Kimberly-Clark is a supplier of consumable material like the paper towels and toilet tissue paper that goes into these plastic molded units. So if you're looking for a key that looks just like this, Kimberly-Clark BD221. Thank you very much. The next key on the list is the BD302. This key is engraved BDK302, but the cut sheet says BD302. It's engraved E114, and E114 is easy. That means ASI, American Specialties. They're a manufacturer in New York that manufactures Division 10 or commercial restroom equipment, toilet paper dispensers, paper towel dispensers, and all sorts of items for commercial restroom applications. And the E114 is their typical key. And here you go. That's what this one looks like. Okay, let's move on to the next key. Let's take a look at the next key in the series, and that's what's called the Fort Howard BD342. I've bumped into these keys in the past, just a corrugated style plastic key, and literally all you do is insert it into the broaching, so to speak, where the key is to be received, and it basically spreads a hooked latch, I think, further down, I believe is what it does. Overall length of the corrugated component looks like it's about 1.037. Overall thickness of the corrugated component, 0.217. And then the thickness of the material of the plastic itself, about 0.053. That's what the Fort Howard key looks like. There you go. Let's move on to the next one. Thank you. Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply. The next key that we're looking at here is the BD447. It's called Georgia Pacific. Obviously, Georgia Pacific, they're going to be a manufacturer of a variety of different types of paper goods, multi-C-fold, you know, paper towels, toilet tissue, who knows. The list is shorter of probably what they don't make paper related. And this key obviously is going to be intended for their dispensers. BD447. Let me give you a couple of basic dimensional properties. This is probably the business end down here, right? These are the shoulders. Insert it and obviously turn it or depress something. Overall width of these two bits, 0.503. The height, 0.254 from here down to here. Then the thickness, 0.078. Georgia Pacific key, here it is. Let's move on to the next one. Thank you. Okay, the next key in our tour is the BD519. This is called Kimberly-Clark. Again, just really more like a spanner style key. I don't know that it operates like a spanner, but it might. Or even a snake eyes. Let's give you some basic dimensional properties. The overall width, 0.713. The height, in both places actually, 0.237. The short from here to here, 0.237. Then the overall of the bit, 0.311. Then the thickness of the bit, 0.078 thick. BD519 called Kimberly-Clark. There it is. Thank you very much. Let's go on to the next key. Okay, so the next key we have is their part number BD654. That's what I believe that's called. Yep, they have this as a Sand Yamar, I guess, Georgia Pacific. Again, just probably, just another residential sort of application. Pardon me, an inexpensive sort of dispenser that's going to use this odd tool. Obviously, one tool's going to work multiple units, would be my guess. I'm going to just give you some basic dimensional properties as we have been doing so, going through this. This end, that I admittedly am not sure what it is used for. Overall width is 0.475. The thickness of each of these bits appears to be 0.165 right down here. Okay. I would say the overall length of these bits, 0.31 inch from the underside here down to the tip, 0.31. The overall width here, 0.37 or 369, 0.369. The height, 0.104, 0.104. The thickness of that material, 0.052, 0.052 thick. All right, that's the San Yamar Georgia Pacific BD 654. Let's move on now to the next key. Thank you. Okay, the next key is the Georgia Pacific. The Blue Dog part number is BD 655. This is what it looks like. Appears to be a rectangular key feature or stub feature to it. Okay, just take some basic dimensional properties of that. The width, 0.242, 0.242. The thickness, 0.25, so basically square. The overall length of the bit, let's call it, 0.246, 0.246. So basically a 1/4 inch by a 1/4 inch by a 1/4 inch is really all this is. Plastic key, they've got it listed as Georgia Pacific. There you go. Let's move on to the next key. Here's the next key in the lineup. This is the Torque, HSC Torque BD 656. Appears to be a double bitted key, which means that you can insert the key either this way or this way. The milling, the cuts are all symmetrical from either end. Not much to really tell you about this, except I'll give you the length from the shoulder stop to the tip. Looks like it's about 0.51 inch from the shoulder stop here right to the tip of the key blank. It has a stamping on it, which is DK 1100, but Blue Dog is calling this a BD 656 HSC Torque. Any other questions on this key, please feel free. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, the next key is called a Bay West 1200. This, I'm completely unfamiliar with that name in every regard. Looks like it's just a couple of curved metal bits that are here. Should be able to just, insert the key in either sort of direction. A couple of basic dimensional properties. Overall width, I'd say it'd be about 0.433. 0.433. Overall thickness, 0.115. 0.115. Probably the thickness of the material of the bit itself, approximately 0.048. And the width or the length of the bit, about 0.167. 0.48 thick, 0.167. All right, let's move on to the next key. This is the Bay West 1200. Let's move on to the next key. This one is called a Fort Howard GP or Georgia Pacific Kimberly Clark. It's a BD 700. Obviously it's a multi-tool, spanner sort of multi-tool, I would guess. Let's take some basic dimensional properties. Overall width of the shorter side, so the overall width of what I would say the smaller end, 0.757. The width of each of these bits, 0.138. The projection, 0.311. Thickness, 0.050. The overall width on the bigger side, 1.067, 1.066. The width of each of the bits, 0.158, and then the projection, .448. 0.448 material thickness would be the same. Okay, this is the BD700. Let's move on to the next key. And we're off to the next key. This is the BD850. This is known as the key that is a Von Driel, is what it's actually referred to. Von Driel or Von Driel 2245. I am not familiar with that brand at all. A couple of basic dimensional properties. Overall width of this end with the 2 bits, 0.407. Width of each of the bits, 0.121. 0.121 is the width. Then the height, or the length, 0.422. Okay. Over on this end, overall width of the bits that are here, 0.356. Maybe the center section where it's cut back to, the root, so to speak, 0.177. I'd say that'd be about all we can provide on the BD850 Von Driel 2245. Let's move on to the next key. Thank you very much. Okay, getting near the end, here's the next key. This is the Murfin BD956. This is plastic. And we'll just take the basic dimensional properties as we have been taking as we're going along here. The overall width of the bit, 0.583 overall width. The thickness of the bit, 0.107 thick, and then the height of the bit, 0.142. Then from the shoulder to the end of the bit, 0.241. 0.241 from the shoulder to the outside. Let's move on to the second to last key. Okay, the second to last key in the series is what they call a BD973. This is a Bradley key, Bradley 2055. You're going to see Bradley commercial restroom equipment installed. This is going to work with wafer cam locks is what it's going to work in, and is a very typical and common key. When you buy them from Bradley, I think they're available only in packages of 5, but nonetheless, typical Bradley key. I guess just some basic dimensional properties. From the shoulder stop to the tip of the blade is about 0.645. From the shoulder stop to the tip, about 0.645. I'm not really going to put the caliper on anything else on this key, but if what you have by any chance is something that you can identify as Bradley, this is very likely going to be your key, 2055. Let's move on to the final key in the series. And then our final key in the series is what would be known as a Cat 74. A Cat 74 is always going to be Bobrick. It's going to be Bobrick or Gamco, actually. The Cat 74 is almost everything within the Bobrick line of locks, not everything. What they don't have in here is the key blank only for the coin mech. The not coin mech, the basically the sheet metal tub that the coins are kept in. Should you need to, what happens is you've got one key to open up the door and then a second key to open up and get access to the coins, to the currency. That's a different key. And that would be an instance where this Cat 74 will not work. I think there are only 2 keys in the Bobrick or Gamco ecosystem. Actually, I would throw Koala in there as well. Bobrick, Gamco, and Koala are all sister companies, and there are certainly things in the Koala system. You might walk into a restroom and there's a baby changing station. That would possibly be Koala. You know, it'll say Cat 74. They always do. and the shoulder stop to the tip of this blank appears to be 0.648. 0.648. All right, let's conclude this video. If you've made it this far into this video, you must be determined to see it through to the end, and we appreciate your hanging in there with us and watching this entire video. It means a lot. It takes a lot of work to create these videos in the sense that, you know, it's time taken away from doing other things. However, the advantage for me personally of creating these videos is the fact that it does allow myself to either learn about something new, to reacquaint myself with something, or to reinforce what I believe that I already know. Any comments that you might leave down below would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. So while it's a set of keys that's not inexpensive, what you're really buying with this is the preservation of your most valuable resource, and that's time. If you have this key set and you are someone involved in a commercial property management firm, and you do construction, you do maintenance, you oversee the supervision of maintenance and construction, this is literally going to be worth several times over to you, just in the ability to maybe have a copy of the cut sheet in the bag that the keys will come in, and be able to know if your key is probably in there. Being able to operate this stuff is really great, being able to open it and operate it. Identify the part number of the key that the dispenser requires. You can then order the keys alone, only the keys. You now know, oh, it's a Fort Howard that I need, so you're going to order those keys. You'll be able to find the key number, and you'll be able to order it on our website. So not only do you have a key that can operate it, you've got the code, the direct code, so to speak, to figure out whose key it is. You can then order those keys only, and you're liberated from the trouble of the cleaning crew throwing out the last known good key that operated it, and keep things going. We stock, of all of those keys that I had mentioned, of the ones that I'm familiar with, Bradley, ASI, Bobrick, etc., we stock dozens of each of those keys, and it's because the cleaning crew does throw them out. The other key that I can think of that it's missing is on many units, those units that require coin mechanisms. You will have one key to get in the door to be able to replenish stock. You'll have a different key altogether to get to the coin mechanism. So this set is missing the coin mech key on some of those. But its strength really is in how comprehensive it is in those 12 or 13 manufacturers of those plastic molded units that generally commercial restroom equipment distributors like ourselves don't have on the shelf. Sometimes it might be hard to find those keys. This key might be it. So anyway, let's wrap up this video and let's summarize everything that is Blue Dog Keys. Blue Dog Keys, again, is a name that is synonymous with key blanks. Their website will certainly attest to that, but also synonymous with really exceptional technical support and customer service. If you have any questions on the Blue Dog Keys BDDKS, Blue Dog Dispenser key set, or any other Blue Dog key product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.